This is WICR.
All right, folks, welcome back to our third and final segment for the day. And, for, I wouldn't say forever, but you know what? For my collegiate career, yeah. We just talked about the Yankees and the Mets, both the Yankees' success and the Mets' woes, but we're going to make the transition from baseball to basketball because the second round matchups for the NBA playoffs are set, and they began yesterday in the Eastern Conference between the one-seeded Boston Celtics and the fourth-seeded Washington Wizards. And you know what? There's a lot to make about this game. Honestly, it was a high-scoring game without a doubt. The Celtics prevailed in Game 1, 123 to 111, and to start it off, they were down 20-3. 20-3. They were down basically 2 touchdowns and a field goal to start off the game. Now, granted, it was only the first quarter. There was still a lot of time to be played, but still, that's something though. 20-3, to be down 20-3 and then still come back and win. And the Celtics, led by an MVP candidate in Isaiah Thomas, willed them back. He finished off with 33 points, and you have to admit, this Celtics group or this Celtics team shows a lot of guts, a lot of resiliency, and that no matter, and you can never count them out. Because you know what? I can guarantee you, in the first round, against the Bulls, when they were down 0-2, and the Bulls won the first 2 games in Boston, I can guarantee you a lot of Celtic fans were jumping ship and jumping off the bandwagon. And they thought, you know what? It's just another lost season where the Celtics have a good regular season and then lose in the first round. And it would have been more atrocious because they were the 1 seed and they could have possibly been swept by the 8th-seeded Bulls. But you know what? This Celtics team, they're just resilient. They're sound. They're slowly gaining confidence, slowly gaining experience. And, of course, like I said, they have an MVP-caliber player in Isaiah Thomas. And the thing is, the guy's only like 5'10", but yet he can just dominate a game, flat-out dominate a game. And, of course, you have other guys like Avery Bradley, like Al Horford or Jay Crowder or Marcus Smart. Guys who can, come through when it matters the most. And the Celtics, even though if they don't win the championship this year, they're on the rise, and they're going to be competitive for the next decade or so. And this team's pretty much built around Isaiah Thomas, who is their team MVP. Now, this series is not going to be easy. Don't get me wrong, because the Wizards are a good team. They have one of the best, if not the best backcourt, or I wouldn't say the best, but one of the best backcourts in the league with John Wall and Bradley Beal. And they have a durable player, a durable center in Marcin Gortat, who's played every single game this year for the Wizards, including the regular season, all 82 games. But it's not going to be easy because the Wizards, they're not going to go down without a fight. And John Wall is the MVP for the Wizards, like Isaiah Thomas is the MVP for the Celtics. But I think, honestly, this series is going to go 6-7 games. It's going to be, I said the Celtics Bulls was going to go 6 games, and I said Celtics in 6, and that my prediction turned out to be true. But this is going to go another 6-7 games. But you know what? In terms of who wins, this is a flip of a coin series, if you ask me. Because I think the Celtics could win. But I think if you were to tell me, I'd say the Celtics are going to win. Because they have the home court. The fans from, if you watched the game yesterday, they were just remarkable, outstanding. They were never out of the game, even when they were down 20-3 to start it off. They just never lost hope. And Boston fans or Celtic fans in general, they're crazy fans, and they'll bring the noise, so to speak. But I'm gonna go in this round. I'm gonna go with the Celtics. Moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now for the other Eastern Conference matchup, it's a rematch of last year's conference finals. Wow, that's the second straight year in a row this happened because in 2015. The Hawks and Cavs played in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then last year played in the semifinals. Now this year, and then last year, the Cavs played the Raptors in the conference finals, and they play them in the Eastern semifinals this year. So you have Cavs Raptors for the second matchup. And you know what? The Cavs, they're a resilient team. They have a three-headed monster led by LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, who's one of the best point guards in the league, and Kevin Love, along with other role players, or not say role players, but other major contributors as well, like Tristan Thompson, Richard Jefferson, Darren Williams, and the list goes on, and Kyle Korver, and the list goes on. And they're going to be fully rested as well. They're coming off a sweep against an Indiana Pacer team that was potent, that was gritty and all. But you know what? When you get a sweep when you sweep a team in the NBA playoffs, though, that you're bound to have a lot of rest, a lot of days off. So the Cavs are going to be well rested, and they still have home court at least for now, though, in this series because they're the 2 seed, though. And as for the Raptors, though, they're coming off a 6-game series against the Bucks, and you know what? In that series, the Raptors showed guts as well, though. They were resilient because they were down 2-1, and they were just flat out embarrassed in Game 3, and everyone thought Milwaukee had momentum. They're going to win this series, but they came back, won Game 4 in Milwaukee, tied the series, took care of business at home in Game 5, and then finished off the Bucks on their home court in Game 6, in a tightly contested Game 6, I should say. And of course, and the Raptors are moving on, and they're in the position where they are now, led by Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, two major contributors for them who were part of their run last year and looking to make another run this year, though. But in the end, I think I think the Cavs, like I said, rest and health goes a long way, especially in the NBA playoffs. And people can say, "Oh, momentum." Yes, momentum. But you know what? If your body's fresh, you're healthy, you're 100%, or close to it, if not 100%, then you have a better opportunity to win games and win series, especially in the playoffs. So I think the Cavs. And I think like I said, I think the Cavs, they have more rest. Arguably they have the best player in the league in LeBron. So I'm going to pick the Cavs to win this series, and we're going to have a Cavs Celtics Eastern Conference Finals. And how interesting would that be, seeing LeBron go up against the Celtics in the playoffs? And we've seen him, and he's 0-2 all time, believe it or not, against the Celtics. Oh no, actually, let me take it back. He's 1-2. 1-2 against the Celtics in the playoffs, because he won 2 years ago when the Cavaliers swept the Celtics. But then when the Celtics had the big three with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen, he lost in the semifinals twice, 2008 and 2010. Both years in which the Celtics went to the finals. So with that, that's a wrap on the Eastern Conference. Now I'm going to move on to the Western Conference, and we'll start with the top-seeded Warriors, who are going to take on the Utah Jazz. Jazz coming off a Game 7 win in Los Angeles against the Clippers. And you know what? I want to say you got to give kudos to the Jazz because they lost Game 6 on their home court, and then they picked themselves up and winded up winning Game 7 on the road in Los Angeles against a Clipper team that had momentum, had the fans, had the court, had the fans, like I say it, had the support, so to speak, because you have the home court. But you know what? Because a lot of teams, when they were up 3-2 and they can't win that Game 6 on their home court, they usually falter in Game 7 on the road, majority of the time. But you got to give kudos to this Jazz team for staying resilient, bouncing back, and moving on to the next round. And they'll be playing the top-seeded Warriors. And, Joe Johnson, former Brooklyn Net, and I like Joe Johnson. He's a very underrated player. And I don't think he gets a lot of recognition that he deserves. Now, some of that could have been, during his early years of Atlanta, where the Hawks were terrible, though. But then when the Hawks started to become more consistent, he got more recognized. And then, of course, when he was with the Nets, he made some big-time shots there. And he's doing the same thing for the Jazz. But the Warriors, they're coming off, this is kind of similar to the Cavs, though. Despite the Jazz, putting up a valiant effort, getting to this point, winning a Game 7 on the road, though, I think this Warriors team is just going to be too much for them. They're coming off a sweep, just like the Cavs of the Portland Trail Blazers. They have home court advantage throughout the playoffs. They're going to be well rested. They have the best backcourt in the league with Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. And then you have Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, other key contributors as well. And I think it's just the Warrior firepower is just going to be too much for this Jazz team. So I'm going to pick the Warriors in this series, and I think this series is going to go no more than 5 games. It was a great run for Utah. Definitely a stepping stone for this organization and this team and these players, though. But I think it's going to end. Their season's going to end in about a week and a half once this series goes in 5 games. So for the 3rd consecutive year, the Warriors will be playing in the conference finals or Western Conference Finals. Now we save the best for last. In the Western Conference, you have the 2-seeded San Antonio Spurs taking on the 3-seeded, my favorite team, the Houston Rockets. As you can see, I'm wearing the Akeem Olajuwon jersey, old flashback 1995 white home jersey. And in this series, there's going to be a lot to look forward to in this series. First of all, you have, I think, who's going to win the MVP in James Harden against Kawhi Leonard. So you have the James Harden-Kawhi Leonard matchup, so that's going to be intriguing to watch. Then along with, San Antonio's guys who can make the three, like Danny Green, like Patty Mills, Tony Parker. And the Rockets, they're the best three-point shooting team in the league, so it's going to be a battle of who can make the most threes, or which team will have the better three-point shooters. Will it be San Antonio? Will it be Houston? That's another thing to look forward to. And then, of course, you have, a juggernaut offense in the Rockets, who are led by Mike D'Antoni, who's known for having a fast break, or is known for the fast break offense. And granted, I know some people, and you know who you are, when I brag about the Rockets, they're scoring a lot of points, but yet they don't play enough defense. But you know what? When you give up when you score 110, 120 points as a team, you're going to give up close to that because you're always running up and down the court, and you're going to be tired to play, or you're going to be too tired to play defense. But you know what? That's going to be a matchup, though, I think is going to be intriguing. The Rockets' fast-paced offense against the Spurs' defense. Can Greg Popovich slow down this Rocket offense? And if you look at Pop's resume or you look at his career, he's had tremendous success against Mike D'Antoni. He beat him. I don't think there was ever a time where Mike D'Antoni beat Greg Popovich in the playoffs. Because think about it. Because when Mike D'Antoni was the coach of the Suns, Popovich beat him in the 2005 Western Conference Finals. Then he beat him in the 2007 Western Semifinals, and the Suns were the better team, seed-wise or record-wise, against the Spurs those 2 years, in 2005 and 2007. Then, in 2008, they obviously the Spurs were the better team that year because they were the 2 seed, and I believe Phoenix was the 1. Or no, they were the 2 seed, and Phoenix was the 7, excuse me, and they beat them in the first round. So, there you go. Mike D'Antoni's 0-3 all-time against Greg Popovich. I think 0-4 because in 2003 the Spurs were the 1 seed and D'Antoni was the coach for the Suns then. So, and the Suns were the 8th seed. So I think he's 0-4 all-time against Greg Popovich in the playoffs. But if the Rockets want to have a chance to win this series and to move on to the Western Conference Finals, their bench players have to come up huge, and they have to play a vital role. Whether it's Eric Gordon or Lou Williams, their bench players have to come up, and they have to come through. Because James Harden can only do so much, and Greg Popovich is going to find a way to defend him. But yeah, the Rockets bench needs to come up huge in this series. It's imperative for that team. Because the Rockets have about 2-3 guys who can be starters for other teams in the NBA. They have a valuable asset in their bench. Guys who can come in, or if their starters are in foul trouble, guys who can come in, play a vital role. That's what the Rockets need in this series. And so far as my prediction, you know what? It's my last show here at Iona. I'm going to go with my Rockets. I'm going to say Rockets in 6. There you go. Rockets. The Houston Rockets will beat the San Antonio Spurs in 6 games. And they will play the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. And then that's a whole nother story. But I'm going to pick the Rockets to beat the Spurs in the Western Semifinals. There you go. There you go. But and there you have it. There's my predictions for the the rest of the NBA playoffs and the semifinals. And that's a wrap for the Rock is On. I had a lot of great memories here at WICR. A lot of bold predictions, some not so bold predictions for those who know me and what predictions I make and all. But yeah. So yeah, a lot of bold predictions, a lot of unbold predictions, some wise, some unwise, some bias, so to speak, though. But that's just the fan of me. But I had a lot of great memories, met a lot of great people here, and I'm truly going to miss it, though. So with that being said, signing off for the last time, this is The Rock is On. This is The Rock, and The Rock is out. Have a great day, everyone.